What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for Sports. So Shaquille O'Neal is a man of many different hats. Of course, he is a NBA Hall of Famer, four-time NBA champion, multiple-time All-Star, two-time All-Star Game MVP, if my memory serves me correctly. Won the MVP award back in 2000. He should have won more, obviously, as was his teammate, the late great Kobe Bryant. Should have won more than one MVP apiece. Um, But Shaq also has his hat in many other rings. He's a business, obviously, he's a spokesperson, a pitchman. Uh, he has a doctorate, has been involved in law enforcement, has been in multiple movies, and he's also been involved in wrestling. Has been involved in wrestling with WWE and I think it's AEW. I think it is the other league that he's been involved in. So he was asked in an interview recently two different questions. He was asked who were his wrestling heroes growing up, and how would he fare hypothetically against a particular WWE legend. So he named different wrestlers. I think Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Junkyard Dog, various other wrestlers, and he was asked how would he fare in a dream matchup against Andre the Giant, and he said that he would beat him like he did Charles Barkley. I guess referencing that infamous uh, brouhaha that they had some 20 some years ago, right? Now, I mean, he's supposed to say that. Shaq is a very formidable human being, size wise, strength wise. He's supposed to say that. This is my take on that. Shaq is what 49 years old now. He's not in the best shape of his life. I would say Shaq in his prime was what his Lakers years. So let's just go back to then. Let's say a 30-year-old Shaq who at his best is probably what 340. Let's just go with 340. Let's just go with 340 as his in ring weight because we know nowadays he's probably over 400 pounds. Now, Andre the Giant is tricky because a lot of us who are a little bit younger, when I say younger, I mean I'm 41, so like I said, I started really watching wrestling. My first memories of wrestling start around 1984, 85, when I was 4 or 5 years old. Those are my first real, actual memories, like solid memories of wrestling around 84, 85. I have little flashbacks before that, but that's solid. So when I started watching wrestling was right when Andre was starting to get out of his prime, unbeknownst to me at the time. But I vividly remember Andre in the twilight of his wrestling career when he was, I mean, wow, what, 500 something pounds, breaking down from the acromegaly he'd been suffering from since he was from birth. Barely could move around the ring, limited mobility, starting to become sort of, hunched over to the point where he was really only 6'9", 6'10" at the end. Um, that's the Andre that we kind of remember. The Andre that had such a bad back that when they was filming that movie he was in, what was that movie in '86 that he did, Princess of the Bride, that they had to lower Robin Wright onto him for him to catch her, for him to catch her in his arms. They had to lower her with wiring. This is a man who had immense strength before the back problem. Now, in his prime, before he started breaking down, Andre was about 6'11", 7 feet tall, about about as tall as Shaq, maybe just a half an inch shorter. But when he was in his prime, when he was agile, he was like 400, I would say 450 pounds. And he, from most people's description of Andre, they referred to his strength as unnatural, like it was like an animal, like they're strong, and then there's him, and it's like a whole nother type level strong. Like this type of person that could lift people up, you know, with one hand, like big men, and could lift them up, like by you know, the seat of their pants and type shit, like that Wilt Chamberlain type, whole nother level type strong. So you take that into account, a guy that probably was even stronger than Shaquille O'Neal, right? From what I could gather, stronger than Shaq was and is. Plus, you take his in-ring experience. Now, look, I get wrestling is fake to a certain extent, it's scripted. I understand all of that. But just hypothetically, if they were out there in a ring and no strings attached, out there just wrestling like as a sport, just wrestling and grappling, um, I would give the edge to if I had to give a if I had to go with a 2000 version of Shaq versus a 1980 version of Andre, I would go with Andre. I mean, Andre was not only a big, huge motherfucking dude, but he was very fucking agile before his body began breaking down. And then you have this shell of himself that was later on. Like, if you think people who only know like the WrestleMania 3 version of Andre and the Beyond need to go on YouTube and look at Andre from like 1980, 79, 81, and you'll see a completely different person. Big, not quite as big, but just a totally different wrestler. But yeah, I think in a hypothetical match, if it was a real legit match, uh, Shaq couldn't handle Andre the Giant. Nah, nah, I don't think so. But that's just my opinion, though. And by the way, I don't see how Shaq won a match when a fight, excuse me, when Barkley was over top of you. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, I remember when this shit actually happened. Okay, we all remembered when it actually happened, and the perception was, damn, Barkley took it to his ass. I don't know anybody that watched that fight, if you want to call it a fight, and said, man, Shaq whooped his ass. Most of us said, damn, Barkley, man, he took his ass down. Barkley got major props for that shit. So I don't know where Shaq talking about something he whooped Charles Barkley's ass. Where'd that come from? And like Charles said to him, first of all, you can't fight. You know what I'm saying? But no, but tell me what you guys think, man.